Looks like we're connected.
We're live. Everything's working. Hey, everybody.
Yeah.
Welcome back to the PC World Talk Show on KPCW. I'm making that up.
Dun, dun, dun,
I do have some breaking news out.
Breaking news.
Old-fashioned AM radio. Breaking news. NVIDIA has finally pulled out an ace card at the end here after a day of everyone beating them over. Where's performance numbers? As reported by Brad Chacos on PCWorld.com. Go to PCWorld.com to read Brad's story. It's a great story. Headline, GeForce RTX 2080 will be 1.5x faster than GTX 1080 in traditional games, NVIDIA says. Basically, faster.
Hold on. Do we have charts to show
We do
this?
have a chart. This is an NVIDIA-generated chart.
Right.
Adam's going to pop it up on the screen.
The
If
overlay.
you're listening audio, sorry. But check that out. That is an RTX 2080 showing. First, you're going to see the headline where it says 2x times 1080. You don't really have to pay too much attention to that. But right now, you want to look at the lower, the darker shade of green showing an Epic Infiltrator demo, Final Fantasy XV, because I don't know my Roman numbers, HDR, PUBG, Ark Survival, JK3, Shadow of the Tomb Raider. Basically, you're looking at Wolfenstein 2, 1.5x faster than a 1080. So RTX 2080, 1.5x faster than today's GTX 1080 Founders Edition, I'm sure. In normal rasterized gaming, which is, I'm sure we'll be calling that legacy gaming pretty soon, as I've been already calling it. The lighter green bar, where NVIDIA says they are getting 2x performance, is, of course, with their new DLSS, which is their deep learning.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's...
Okay.
Yeah, you turn that effect on, and yeah, it's going to be worse on the 1080 because there's no tensor cores in there. So 2x over a 2080 over a 1080. I guess that's why they made it the 2080.
Yeah, right.
On those games with DLSS on. But for what everybody's going to play today, I think what everybody's concerned about is it going to be faster? Is it going to be faster? All the hand-wringing. We have now gone through basically what feels like 24 hours of just complete backlash. People saying, this thing sucks.
Hey, you know
Where's
what?
my numbers?
I was there too. I was concerned. I was like, wait, why would they not come out there and say that the numbers aren't better?
Right.
Like you could come out there on a presentation and say, hey, not only do we have this amazing technology that we're implementing in these new cards, but we also have the numbers to show that it's even better in traditional games as well. So you get a 1-2 punch.
Right.
Why didn't they?
Well, let's bust out the second side. So there are two things that came out of Gamescom. Brad has this in his story again. Go to PCWorld.com to read the story. Breaking news. This is basically a whole bunch of, popular games running at 4K on the RTX. We don't have the 1080 numbers, but let's see. What's that first one? Oh, that's Final Fantasy.
That's Final Fantasy 15.
60 frames a second. Look, 4K HDR 60 hertz. Hitman 73, Call of Duty World War II 93, Mass Effect Andromeda 67, Battlefront 2 65, Resident Evil 7 66, F1 2017 77. You get the idea. Destiny 2 66, Battlefield 1 84, and Far Cry 5 71 frames a second. Again, 4K HDR. NVIDIA has been taking some heat because you turn on HDR on their cards on an HDR panel, you lose a little bit of, you have to take a haircut. So this is 4K and those all above 60 frames.
And this is not including ray tracing. This is just
right. This
traditional
is
games,
traditional rasterized games, legacy games, whatever you want to call it. But this is clearly NVIDIA saying, hey, internet, shut up. We made this card. It's going to be faster. You think we're going to sell you the same thing? At least that's what the messaging is, if these are to believe. Of course, you do take everything with a big pinch of salt in the technology game. But Brad points out, NVIDIA's marketing claims generally turn out to be true. So if anybody says these are completely made up, I want to see the real thing. That's one thing, but generally they are right. But of course, we'll see.
Which and Neko G over on YouTube says that it can still suck. You can't trust NVIDIA charts. Never, ever.
Right. So that's the thing. So again, Brad, who, he gets spoon-fed these presentations before, then he gets the hardware to test. He tests all the hardware. And his guidance is generally that they're pretty accurate. They're not going to say we give you X and you don't get X. So, certainly some things can be shaved a little bit their way, but in general, Brad's confidence is that their charts are actually pretty accurate. So I know people are going to want to say, oh, I want to see the card first.
Which is true. You should still
Which
see
is true.
our independent,
You should.
testing of it, but it's probably not going to be too far off, right?
Right. And I don't know. So one thing we don't know. The only thing I can say at this point of those two performance charts that NVIDIA released, I'm going to guess due to all the negative reaction that they had from the internet saying, oh, this thing is going to suck or not be any faster than what I have. I'm going to go out and buy a 1080 Ti. They're saying no. Definitely not.
Yeah. Oh, well, because this only includes the 1080 or the 2080.
Right.
This isn't comparing it to the 1080 Ti. So some
Right,
people
we
are wondering, like, how does it compare to that?
Well, we don't. So this is the problem. We don't know how it's going to compare to 1080 Ti, 2080 Ti. We don't know how 2070 is going to compare to 1070. Which I think is sort of the problem. There was a lot of news with the ray tracing, the RTX announcement, but the lack of the numbers. Instead of everybody giving NVIDIA the benefit of the doubt, in the old days they would have said, "Hey, X is faster than Y. Here's what you should expect." People are like, "Okay, they're happy to wait for the cards." When they had the presentation and there was no performance data comparing it in rasterized games to other things, I think it's got everybody set off on this feeling that they don't want to believe anything until they actually see the card now, which I think is sort of the problem here. Is they probably, and I think it's a very valid criticism, is that on the launch they should have broke out some performance numbers, because now they have to go uphill to convince people that these cards are actually faster than the ones they're replacing.
Yeah. But Ashen over on YouTube's asking, but is this 4K Ultra maxed out? Do they say anything about the settings level?
No, there is nothing. That they're not actually saying anything about the settings here. I suppose you could make the argument that they are running 4K at low, but I somehow doubt that. I would believe that a brand new video card you're not going to be running that at low settings in order to make benchmarks, make yourself look better. But again, I think this gets into what I just said, is you don't want to believe them at this point because there is no information up front. Now you don't want to believe them. And it's tough. It's actually very interesting because I thought, a lot of people got really angry. There's just a lot of anger out there on RTX 2080. One, they don't believe in ray tracing. Two, they just think it's going to be slow, which is ridiculous until we actually see the cards. I mean, as we've said, we kept saying, you got to wait for the cards. You got to wait to see the reviews.
Yeah, of course.
You want to know,
and we're
right?
still saying that.
We're still saying that. I think generally, yeah, if it's a big investment like that, I would want to wait to see hardware first. It may mean that you will miss out on the card for a while because they'll probably all be sold out, I'm going to guess, which, it's not a bad thing. But I have a hard time believing, again, that a new card is going to be slower than the previous generation card. My prediction has been all along this is a right turn. But if these numbers are true, if they are accurate, then I think that's a good look because...
Yeah.
Who the hell wants...
Oh, yeah, of course. I mean...
Would you really want a 1080 at this point looking at these numbers?
I mean, depending on the price,
Well, that's the thing, right? Yeah. Of course, the price.
Yeah.
But
John Kessel on YouTube's calling us now officially Shill World.
That's why I wore the green shirt so you could say that, John, just for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, I think everybody should always be skeptical, and I understand there's just a lot of anger. I was actually surprised by the anger from NVIDIA fans. Certainly in the ones who wear red every day. I understand that you want to play your team, whatever. I like the Warriors. Suck it, Cleveland. But it's, I was surprised by the reaction. Adam, what do you think? Because I just everybody was so angry at the announcement over this. Even NVIDIA, people who buy NVIDIA, who wear green, were like, what's going on, right? And I
mean, listen, it's been 2.5 years since the 1080 launch, so a lot of people are anticipating it, and they tell us, hey, there's going to be a huge announcement at this event, and then Jensen gets up there and informs us how important ray tracing is and how it's going to look. But, it's a longer presentation and people just want to get to it. They wanted the price, they wanted the performance, they wanted when they can get it, which people are still asking for. So I think they kind of missed a little bit in the spectacle, and also I think they also missed the opportunity to say, hey, not only does it have this awesome technology, it's also going to be faster. Of course it's going to be faster, but they could have just said that up front. Of course it's going to be faster. So they didn't say anything, and it left a lot of people. If people are left to their own devices, they will imagine what they want to.
Everybody does assume the worst, and
Right.
I agree. I agree, because I think we were all kind of like, what? I mean, when you don't talk about the performance versus your old part, you do wonder what's up.
Because they always do, right? If you do it in the past, why wouldn't you do it now? So they've come out with it now. These are official charts that Brad got from NVIDIA. So, this helps us a little bit. But eLopez 580 on YouTube is asking, is there a date for when reviews can be fully released?
We wanted to have Brad on. I really was hoping he could do it, but
we did.
He's he's just dead tired. He just pounded out 2 stories. They're on PCWorld.com, by the way. I can't say when the review will be lifted. Honestly, I don't think I could. I don't know. Even if I did know, I couldn't tell you. And don't try to interpret any of the winking or blinking. That's just my facial tics. We don't know. We can't say at this point. And I got to swear, this is the problem now is we're just all got off on the bad foot. Now people are just going to be hand-wringing all the way, because now everybody's like, there's just fear, uncertainty. Oh, I can't even do it. It's just FUD, right? Uncertainty and doubt. Maybe somebody can say it for me. All the way until the launch, all the way until we actually see independent reviews. People are going to be, and I got to tell you, if I were an AMD fanboy, this would be the best time in the world, because you are just going to go out there and mess with your arch enemy every day. I mean, that's what you want to do, right? And that's what's going to happen. So I don't know. I don't know. I'm just saying I don't know. I couldn't tell you if I knew.
Well,
but,
and also, if Brad were here, I'm going to channel Brad.
Right.
He would say, listen, don't pre-order anything. Even with this new information, don't pre-order anything. Wait for the independent benchmarks. I don't think any either of us are saying anything different either. We still want to see the final results. This does not change,
I mean, let me put you in a box, Adam. Let me put you in a box.
Okay, do it.
So we have if you have a reimbursement from work for you got to spend on things to help your health. If you had worked at a company where you had a reimbursement to spend on technology and the deadline was basically a week from now, what are you going to do with your reimbursement check for $600 or $700 there, Adam? Going to go out and buy a 1080? Going to buy 2 of them, put them in SLI?
Not for $700. Hell no.
Well, but you could buy 2 of them.
I'm not an SLI guy anyway. You know that.
I know. But I'm just saying. Yeah, I agree. I want to see reviews. I'm always doubtful of everything. I do have some skepticism of how the performance will be running ray tracing. We'll see. We'll have to see, right? But at the same time, ain't no way I'm buying a 1080 at this point, unless it's just for killer price.
Friend of the show, Rusty Shackelford's asking any opinions on how much of the pricing comes from the ray tracing hardware being included.
I don't know. I had a really smart analyst tell me a long time ago. He says, you know what? The actual price of the production never has anything to do with the actual end price that they charge you. It's how much they put into R&D, it's also marketing and all those other things. But this is a huge freaking die. This thing is like 700 plus millimeters squared. It's gigantic. I mean, I was looking at this chart I had the other day. Most of them are like, 450. I mean, I think there was one up over 500, and that was just like back in the 90 nanometer days. But this thing is freaking huge. It's just gigantic.
Yeah.
And that is built on a 16 or 14 nanometer process. It's just like, I do wonder that I do think including those ray tracing cores added cost to it, and adding the tensor cores added cost to it. But again, this is, look, I've been reading. We had a video about this yesterday, and people were like, "Oh, but I don't care about ray tracing. I don't care about tensor cores. Just give me my shader cores or CUDA cores or whatever you want." At some point, you gotta get to the next level. And I do understand people going like, "Oh, or I don't care about ray tracing. I just want faster frame rates and whatever when it comes out." But do you really, again, I've been saying this, do you need 400 frames a second, or would you rather your transistor budget, when you make that GPU, do you want them to be put into next generation features, or put into giving you frames that you can't see on, older games, rasterized games, legacy games, I've been calling them already. So it's a very tough one. It's very much chicken and egg, right? I mean, people are saying, well, this is ridiculous. This is just a gimmick. Ray tracing is not going to be realistically useful for about another 3 years.
We'll see.
Well, but if it isn't, and I agree, I'm very skeptical if we're really able to do real-time ray tracing at performance levels that people will accept. At the same time, do you think developers are going to add ray tracing to games if there's no hardware for it? So
true.
There's got to be hardware for it, right?
It's got to be a chicken and egg, right?
Chicken and egg, and it's just like with multi-core CPUs. Somebody has to build it. They're certainly not going to add support for it until everybody has it. We finally have that now with Ryzen because everybody and their mother has a 6 or 8 core. So that may hopefully change things. But if you didn't have that, there's no incentive for a developer to waste money on that. And that's all it is, a waste.
Well, and it seems like, judging by the general temperature of the chat here, another thing is that no matter what, this is still it's still a jump over the previous version price-wise.
Sure.
The price seems to be a rub. Sure, you're getting, the ray tracing cores,
right,
and you are, at least by this chart that we're showing right now, you are getting a performance in non-ray trace stuff, but at the end of the day, it's still a price increase from the last generation, which was a price increase from the previous generation. People are on a budget. They do have to care about budgets. So
sure,
it's ray tracing right now to them is, no matter what, still out of their price range.
No, and I agree, because this is very much early adopter technology, and anybody who pretends it isn't is silly, because 2070 is not a mainstream card at all. That's still a fairly high-end card for most gamers. So, that 70 series has always been higher. So, yeah, this is early adopter. If you are on a budget, and if you are very practical, if you're like totally pragmatic, if you're Elena, who would be sitting next to you, she's not here, she'd be like, you know what? This is some awesome stuff. I'm going to buy this 1080 for $380, and I'm going to play games for about 3 years. And when ray tracing actually gets to the point where I can play it at a frame rate I want and a price I can afford, that's when I'll pick it up. So I understand that. That is totally fair. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. Kind of a side note from Enigmatastic on Twitch. Are you planning on comparing NVLink with SLI?
I'm sure that will be something that will happen. I was reading some of the comments about NVLink. Frankly, I haven't followed it because it's just such a non-consumer technology up till now. So it sounds like it could be a way that we see multi-card PCs come back, and we're going to see SLI and NVLink based machines in PCs again, because apparently it's just a lot easier. The way I was reading a comment again, they're saying that it virtualizes the GPUs, so it'll just be a lot easier to make the games work with it. So it's possible. I can't see them including it unless they sort of think that there's a chance to why sell somebody one 2080 when I can sell them two.
Yeah,
right.
Why not?
So,
by the way, Elena Yee is in the chat, and she did hear you. Yeah. So Donald's asking, do you believe Jensen when he said that the RTX 2070 will outperform the GTX 1080 Ti?
Did he? He did say that, but he's talking about in ray tracing.
Yeah.
I have no doubt that you fire up a 2070 in a game or something that actually uses ray tracing or the tensor cores, it is just going to mercilessly beat that 1080 Ti down, right? It'll just be ridiculous. But those are all features that this new card is built for. In rasterized gaming, in legacy gaming, as I've been calling it, I got to say, I'm not sure a 2070 is going to beat the pants off a 1080 Ti. That'll,
Yeah.
We'll see. That sort of comes down to, but I mean, a 1080 Ti is still, what, about $600 right now?
Well, but then again, last generation, the 1070 was, just a little bit faster than the 980 Ti. So I think that's what they're trying to refer to.
But, I think Brad made a point on this a couple of podcasts ago that's very fair. And that is like, you got to remember, though, you got to bake in the fact that we had a process jump, too.
Sure.
Right. So that process jump was huge for those 10 series cards. You got so much out of that process shrink.
Yeah.
Everything that I don't think we saw that from 980, say 970. Was there anything? What the hell was it?
There was a 970. Yeah.
Yeah, so like, but the previous generation part, so 770 to 970. I always forget, why did they skip 8?
They skipped 8.
But why? Except for
I don't
mobile. I
remember.
never could understand why they skip mobile. So it's always, you have that blank spot in your brain.
Yeah.
So yeah, was 770 a huge improvement over 670?
I don't remember.
I don't know if it was the same jump we got as 1070 over 970. 1070 970 was huge.
Yeah.
So-
Trent on YouTube's asking, has there been any information released on compute performance?
Nothing. All we basically know is what we saw in the public keynote. Those 2 slides, which NVIDIA released to everybody.
Which I'm gonna pop up again.
We'll pop up again. Hey,
Yeah.
so here's this first slide.
For the
If you
people
missed
who
it
are,
earlier.
yeah, for the people who are just coming in, tell them again what they're seeing.
Right. 1.5x performance better in traditional games, rasterized games. On the dark green bar, on the lighter shader green, that's when you enable deep learning, DLSS, whatever their filtering is, and it obviously is going to get up to 2x over a previous card, obviously because the older card does not support DLSS, so it's going to suck at that. So that's the only thing we know. We know this slide, and we know the next slide. You want to do the next slide, Adam? The next one.
There we go.
This is just frame rates in some popular games, all of them at 4K with HDR on, all above 60, some of those above 70, a couple of those above 90 frames a second on, I'm guessing, I think it's a 1080 card there. Does it say 1080? I think so.
2080. So
I mean, sorry, 2080.
Yeah.
That's going to be a hard one to
It says RTX 2080 at the bottom right.
So, yeah, we know nothing else. We know absolutely nothing else. We do not know when actual reviews will lift. I don't even think we're allowed to talk about it. If we knew, we don't know who has cards. We don't know who's going to get cards, when we're going to get them. I don't know if we could say. So I'm sorry, Internet. You're just going to have to hang on some more and sort of like, but clearly NVIDIA felt the reaction from the Internet yesterday was like, whoa, this is like, what's up with this? So they did have to release some performance numbers to at least put some people at ease. Are you going to, let me ask you this. Are you feeling better? Is this making anybody feel better?
Yes. Well, me, I have the mic. Yes, it is making me feel better because all they needed to do was come out and say it. There's no reason not to say it if it is a nice jump like this. And, I'm feeling a little bit better. But the chat is starting to chime in, and we've got 1, 2, 3 people saying no. 4 persons saying no. Tell us why. Tell us why you're not feeling any better. And it's probably because they want to see independent testing. I want to as well.
Sure.
But, I think it's not going to be too far off. Hey, there's one person, Master Shake, says yes. So, and then Elvis says, no, my wallet will not feel better.
Well, yeah, the wallet is the cost aside. I do think is that, I mean, do you get the feeling that it's really the cost here that there is a hefty increase in price here. So I guess that's part of the pain point.
Yeah.
People are expecting more for less.
Yeah. Which, hey, to be fair, yeah, it would be great to have more for less, right?
Yeah, I mean
that's what AMD is doing over on Ryzen.
Right.
You're getting more cores for even less than previous generations. So, yeah, I think honestly, I think it's an overall price performance kind of thing. People do want something that's a little more entry level because not everyone can afford a 1070. Even if they are a big jump over
2070.
2070. Gee, oh man.
Yeah, I know it's really tough. It's really tough. The good news is here is the 1070 will actually be your budget card now, right?
And there we go.
I mean, that's if 1070s get down to below what original MSRP was, it's going to be a pretty good day for budget gamers. Pretty good day.
So Rusty is saying if we combine the fact that there were no performance metrics as well as pricing, and since so few games utilize ray tracing, personally, I'm just better off with my Pascal card. So I think there's a little bit to muck around in there.
I think generally you use the hardware you can until it just kills you. It's unplayable. You start turning features down, you start turning down resolution, and then finally you're like, okay, it's time to upgrade, right? So I don't think most people are going to be coming from definitely not from a 10 series to 20. I mean, the vast majority of people are not going to upgrade. Yeah. I'm going to guess a lot of the 9s people may stick around, but clearly, yeah, if you're rolling a 7 series card, that's just And then the whole Bitcoin mining. There's a lot of good choices, I think. Although I read a really good comment to the podcast we did yesterday, and I wouldn't bring that up. And this person had a really good point. It's like, so clearly we don't know the performance of this card in Rasterize Gaming. Now we do. It's definitely better.
A little bit.
It's
Yeah.
definitely better. Well, we have an idea. We have an inkling. But we do, the big question mark is ray tracing. How's the ray tracing performance going to be? Doesn't AMD have a good opening now to just basically push nothing but Rasterize Gaming performance? Right? So their next generation card doesn't necessarily do ray tracing. If that wasn't what it was sort of built for, but they're like, it's faster than a 2080 in rasterized traditional gaming, higher from say like 10, 15%. Is that gonna, are people gonna buy the next generation AMD part instead? Or I mean, maybe they can go faster. Maybe it's even faster. Maybe it's 20%. I don't know. Who knows?
There has been a couple of people in the chat and even in the comments from the podcast yesterday. Oh, now I'm switching to AMD. So
yeah, it's an interesting question. Will people want to make this right turn to the brave new world of ray tracing? Is it worth it, or do they just want higher frame rates on everything they have currently? That's, and you're talking about spending your $600 to put your bet down for 3 years. I don't know. What do you do? I don't know.
Yeah.
It is a good play. Does seem like a good opportunity for AMD to squeeze in here, and they could really sort of play up that. Yeah, ray tracing is kind of cool, but right, there's like X amount of games that support it. So once you buy our card, that's faster. So
yeah, so
it's a good shot. We'll see, right? We don't know. We don't know what the heck is coming from AMD. Although I do like the controlled leaks of, I think it's a controlled leak, 7 nanometer Navi coming this year, which previously was 7 nanometer Navi coming next year. Now people are saying it's this year. I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah, and I'm sorry I don't have the comment. It scrolled by so fast I wasn't able to grab it. But somebody said, hey, when the 1070 came out at 400, that was reasonable. I mean, even I had picked one up. But a 2070 at 600, it starts to get a little too far.
Right.
So,
no.
Yeah.
No,
I
hear
think
you.
a lot of it's price. Yeah.
Yeah, pricing does feel like a lot of the backlash is price, not necessarily all the performance, but sort of maybe it's that combination.
We were
right?
talking about this for months, though, that, hey, the new cards are probably going to be more expensive. So,
I think people didn't expect them to be that much more expensive. Although I guess they're saying this $500, isn't there a $500 for 2070, but not...
Well, I think he said it starts at 500, but right now there's nobody offering a 500 version.
Nobody's offering 500, but I mean, nobody has the chips. There's going to be very few of them. They're going to be in high demand. Expect very high prices.
Yeah.
Do you think 2070 at $500 though?
I mean,
okay?
It makes it better. It makes it better. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I think also then we have to wait and see for the 2060, the 2050. What are they going to do there? Are they going to do the rumors saying, hey, no ray tracing in the low end? That's going to be interesting as well. You can't really go all in on ray tracing if your low end cards don't have it either. Right. So
I mean, that is hard. That's going to be the tough thing about transition. I hardly think they're going to be able to sell the 750 millimeter square die down into a 2060 card, right? That feels like that's a stretch. Yeah. So I don't know.
And also, we're referencing what Jensen said on stage, was that it starts at 500, but if you go look right now, none of the partner cards are starting at 500, and the Founder Edition is listed at 700. So there's a little bit of confusion there, but we do know that there's nothing out there at 500 right now.
Yeah, there's nothing. Yeah, and it does feel like even with 10 series that was kind of done too, right? Because Founders Edition cards were just way more expensive than what you get. You just could not get those at sort of the lower quarter prices initially, if I remember right. It got a little better after a while, but then mining ruined everything. So
all right, well, we'll keep an eye on this breaking news topic. If there's anything else we need to share, obviously we'll get back in here. And like we said, unfortunately, Brad couldn't join us. He's still in Germany, and then he has to make his way back. He's a very tired man. So we will have a podcast next week, and we will, continue to talk about this stuff.
And go in and debate, make your angry statements. Also, Team Red, continue to troll Team Green, because that's your job, as any fans of any hardware are going to do. So go down below, continue to troll. And, again, this is great. This is just something this is not going to be over today. It's not going to be over tomorrow. We'll see. We will not know. I will be glad when we actually know the performance, to see who was right, who was wrong, who was the alarmist. So.
Well, we get cards in our hands. So.
Yep. But stay tuned. Come back to PC World for more videos.
Thanks, Gordon.
Thanks.